Shelby's brother.
Story time's over. All right, guys, listen up. So who remembers what we're talking about?
You know that's
I've heard.
Path of hurt.
Raise your hand if you know what we're talking about.
Path of hurt.
It is on the screen.
The path of hurt.
Yeah,
You're supposed to have your mouth
There's a
open.
big clue on
We're
that.
talking about grace.
All right. Who remembers what Garrett talked about last week?
What?
Who remembers what Garrett talked about last week?
Sort of.
All right, so we're continuing on this whole path of hurt, and within that, we're going to be talking about kind of from hurt to hope. This is going to be kind of going off exactly what Garrett was talking about last week. So remember what he was talking about last week, and be quiet. All right. So first off, like we all have hurt. Excuse me. Who agrees?
I
We
agree.
all have hoots. Yes, we all have hurt. Who's experienced hurt today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy right here.
Brandon, Bryce, yeah. Raise your
today?
hand. Raise both hands because you experienced hurt a lot. Yep, he's doing it. Everybody clap for Brandon. Golf clap, golf clap, golf clap. Golf clap, golf clap. And I don't think we can ignore hurt. I think in your lives right now, like, you know, people kind of expect teenagers to have hurt, whether, you know, they kind of expect you to be doing bad things and hurting other people and to be hurt all the time. Do you guys agree with me? Do you think your parents kind of expect you to have hurt in your lives right now? Or others around you? They don't?
No, I don't.
Why not? Explain that to me.
Why don't my parents want me to have hurt in my life?
No, like expect you to have hurt. Think you that you have hurt.
Know that you can experience it.
Yeah. Like in this time of your life right now, that your parents expect you to be hurt in some way.
Oh, that goes to a very, very long story, so I don't really feel like sharing
Go ahead.
that.
Rejection from
Rejection.
people
Yeah.
around you.
They expect that from you. You're gonna feel rejection. Let's go ahead and go into that. What kind of hurts do you guys feel right now in your lives? McKenna just said rejection. Go ahead.
When you punch me in the stomach like 5 minutes ago.
Physical hurt. You got who's had
Bad
somebody
grades,
hurt
bad
him
grades.
physically?
Why Harley? Oh wait.
She said bad grades up here. Go ahead. Oh, you raised your hand.
I said bad grades. Wait, what are we talking
What other hurts? What kind of hurts do you guys have in your lives?
about? Bad grades.
Go ahead.
Emotional.
Emotional.
My dog died.
It goes with what you're saying, I promise.
Make it quick.
Okay. The hurt that I was talking about, like before, when my friend had like a brain tumor or something, that whole thing. Well, I'm also saying that that hurt is over because the results came back and she does not have a brain tumor.
Did you pray for her?
Any other hurts in your life? Sorry, I can talk. Go ahead.
Relatives passing away.
Relatives passing away. Death.
Dogs passing away.
Death. Dogs passing away. Anything else? Go ahead. Vic.
A turtle passed away.
More deaths. Turtles are passing away.
My bird passing away.
Birds
She killed it.
You know, we can't ignore feeling like that. Hurt is going to come with feelings no matter what. Whether it's physical, it's emotional, it's you know, it's rejection, it's dealing with death. All of that it's going to have feelings. We're going to experience it. There's no doubt about it. And I don't think we can forget that hurt. You know, we easily might be able to forgive people for the things that they've done to us, or we can easily even, you know, the pain's going to go away somehow. But I don't think we can forget it, and I don't think we should forget it. I had a professor, I'm in a small group for this internship, and we meet every week, and we were kind of talking about like forgiving people and forgiving people who have hurt us. And he said, you know, a lot of people kind of forgive to forget. Have you ever heard that sort of thing? You forgive to forget. And what he was saying is, like, you know, our lives are kind of made up of experiences, and whether they be good or bad, whether they be, you know, new relationships, those might be good experiences, or hurt, those might be bad experiences. We need to keep those experiences in our lives. That is our lives. Like all those little things are what our lives are made of. So I don't think we can forget hurt, and I think it needs to stay a part of us. I think there's a process to get over it, and we will be going over that, but I don't think we should forget our hurt. And I don't think we can give up the hurt that, you know, other people's hurt. I think it's a good thing, and it's a healthy thing to recognize other people's hurts, whether, you know, it's all these deaths you guys were talking about, whether it's pets or relatives, you know, recognizing that in somebody and realizing that's a part of their lives right now, and you know, talking to them about that and sharing hurt in your life that relates to that. I think that's all good and healthy things. Again, you know, what Garrett was talking about, how hurt doesn't have to be this horrible state of depression where we're all just, you know, coming here and crying, or we're sitting and not talking, or anything like that. Hurt, it can be a really healthy thing, I think. So with that, we're going to watch a quick video, and this is from that movie, To Save a Life, and To Save a Life. And to kind of give you the premise, last time we watched kind of the first like 5 minutes of the movie, and it was this kid named Jake Taylor, and he was at his friend's funeral. He was friends with the kid who died earlier in his life, and now he's kind of become more popular and is not his friend anymore, and he's kind of dealing with, like, what could I have done to save this kid's life? And this is going to kind of be where he really feels the hurt in his life. So let's go and watch this. Gary, can you dim the lights? And with that, so Jake was the guy who was on his computer with the long blonde hair, and so I don't remember his other friend's name now. Nick, can you help me? Do you remember? Roger. Roger is the other student who ended up taking his life, and Jake was at his funeral, and you know, Jake wasn't able to kind of, he kind of put Roger behind him as Jake became more popular, and Jake kind of, he made, you know, his life and his hurts more important than anybody else's, and Roger kind of had to stay in the back and deal with his hurts by himself and keep them inside and not be able to share them with somebody like Jake, who could have easily heard it and recognized it for what it was. So, you know, I think through hurt, we can give others hope. For Roger, you know, Jake wasn't able to get it to him in time, and it was because Jake wasn't able to recognize his hurt and wasn't able to talk to him and share his hurt with Roger. You know, he put so many things in between that relationship that, you know, hurt took it to the ultimate level, and you know, Roger committed suicide, and now Jake has to kind of go through this and experience that hurt just as much as Roger experienced that hurt, because they didn't talk about it. He didn't help Roger and help him in a way that he could have easily. And in a previous scene, the scene where Roger shoots the gun up in the air and then he ends up taking his life, Jake comes up to him and he goes, "Roger, don't do this, dude, but why are you doing this? What's going on?" And Roger basically, all he says is, "It's too late. You could have helped me, but it's too late." And so with that, and with this whole idea of going from hurt to hope, I think I have a theory. It's going to be later, but I kind of have a theory, and my theory is if there's only one way that we can help people, and I think this is kind of universal. I think if we didn't experience hurt and we didn't share our hurt with others, you know, I'm not saying that you need to go out and divulge your lives to everybody, you know, tell the world that, you know, you're a teenager and you hurt. I'm not talking about that, but I think people in this room are willing to listen to you, whether it's the leaders or other students. I think there's people in this room that have similar experience to what you have, and they're willing, maybe they've already experienced it, or maybe they will experience, and you're able to share your experience with them. I think there's people in this room that can learn from what you have to say, whether it's hurt or it's help, and that's kind of what I'm talking about tonight. So my theory is that if there wasn't hurt, there wouldn't be help, and you know, that involves a lot of sharing, and it involves a lot of experience and relating and helping other people. But I don't think if we didn't hurt and we didn't share our hurts, I don't think there would be much help in this world. And I'm going to kind of share my story real quick, and then we'll go into other examples of this. But I'm gonna kind of share my story and how it affected my life to kind of end up helping me in the rest of my life, and also kind of helping others on down their path. So my story is freshman year, 9th grade. They had just built a brand new high school, so they built my high school kind of back in a newer developed area. So there's kind of a lot of canyons still in the area, but my high school is really nice. They spent $30,000 on each palm tree, and there was like 40 of them, and we still none of us could figure out why they would spend that much money, but we just thought it was still cool because we had palm trees. But the reason I tell you that my high school was kind of built farther back is when I walked to school, I'd walk down a few streets where the kind of residential streets, and then I'd have to walk through this canyon that kind of had trees on each side, and there was a canyon that I'd walk down, and then school was on the other side of that canyon. And my parents made me walk to school, even though my mom didn't work, and I think she could have drove me, but I think my parents were trying to teach me some kind of lesson in walking to school. Whose parents teach them a lesson to walk to school? Mine did. I learned so much. But I
didn't have enough money to pay for gas.
That's it. And I finally convinced my best friend to walk with me, so I wouldn't be so bored with my iPod or something like that. I convinced my best friend